I'm going to move the chat down into my other screen in case anyone has a question. That way I can see it. I'm going to not have the mirror effect.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Buenos dias. Me llamo Courtney Heba. This talk is building mastery into your daily practice and how you can use it to ignite your purpose. My name is Courtney Heba. I work for Microsoft. I am a Teams technical specialist. In my prior life, I was an agile coach at Delta Airlines, Carter's Oshkosh, led several agile transformations, and I'm excited to be here with you all today. So, why mastery? Why now? I want to sprinkle in a little bit of context. For those of you not aware, we are in the midst of a great resignation, where in 2021, 1 out of 4 American workers quit their jobs, which is unprecedented. I don't have the exact numbers for Medellín, but I have to assume it's very similar. And when we look into surveys, studies, exit interviews, what we're finding is people aren't leaving because of salary and benefits. Of course, it's part of it. But they're leaving because they no longer feel satisfied in their job. They don't feel as though they're continuing to contribute and grow, and they're seeking those feelings elsewhere. Today's talk is about how you can cultivate satisfaction through mastery so you can continue to fight the good fight at your employer if that's where you want to be. Dan Pink, one of my favorite authors, he wrote the book Drive. If you're in the chat, if you've read Drive, type something in the chat. In this book, he says there's 3 things that motivate employees at work. It's autonomy, purpose, mastery. Today's talk is going to hone in deep on the mastery piece. So, what is it? Let's unpack a bold title like mastery. It's the urge to get better at stuff. We like to get better at stuff. It's the reason people play musical instruments on the weekend. Why would someone play guitar on the weekend if their employer isn't going to pay them 1 penny more? It's a strange economic behavior. And yet, when we ask guitar players, why do you play on the weekend? They say, because it's fun, because I get better at it and that's satisfying. Imagine it's 1990 and I'm in a boardroom with Bill Gates. And I say, hey, Bill, do you have a second after this meeting? I've got a business proposition I want to run by you. And he's like, yeah, sure, what's up? We've got this grand idea. What if we gather all the best software engineers across the globe who do highly skilled work and they're willing to volunteer 20, maybe 30 hours of their time for free? He's looking at me questionably. Maybe he raises an eyebrow and he says, okay, go on. And I'm not done. What these developers create, they're going to give it away rather than sell it. It's going to be huge. He would probably look at me like I have lost my mind because it's counterintuitive to everything that we believe. And yet we have open source Linux, Wikipedia that's done on a volunteer basis. We have GitHub, the world's largest open source code repository. I could give Bill a snapshot into the future. I could say, Bill, in 30 years, your company, Microsoft, is going to purchase GitHub, whose business model is to give away developers' code for free for $7.5 billion. Does this sound like a profitable investment? So, why are people doing this? Why are people who have lucrative, high paying jobs, why are they during their limited discretionary time building equally, if not more, technically sophisticated, highly skilled creations for someone who is not their employer, but someone else for free? This is completely irrational behavior. The answer is overtly clear. challenge and mastery, along with making a contribution. How can we build a practice of mastery into our daily lives? Through mastery, we feel fulfilled because we continue to contribute and grow. How many of you, hand raise at home or maybe you're in the auditorium, hand raise if you know someone who is uber successful, but they are not happy? I can think of a few people. We are all here at DevOps Days Medellín because we're successful. We wouldn't be here if we weren't. But success is a disease because the higher you go up that success ladder, the more likely the next rung is failure. And failure is painful because it questions your success. The next rung is risk. And even though you took massive risk to get where you are today, there comes a point in time where you start to say, ah, I don't know if it's worth it. We get comfortable in our groove, and our groove becomes our grave. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Constant and never ending improvement is the keys to fulfillment. I want to tell a personal story of my journey to mastery. I graduated with an MBA and joined Delta Airlines as part of their IT MBA rotational program, where I did different rotations in IT for 2 years. One of the strategies of this program was to choose your last rotation wisely, because if that final team liked you, you had the opportunity to join them full time. I had been working as a scrum master for the past 6 months, working day in and day out with the agile coaching team, and I had decided being an agile coach was the coolest job at the company. That was my dream job. I was delighted when I found out I had been chosen to be on the agile coaching team. But I quickly found out they were not as delighted to have me. It was made known to me that I had been voluntold to be on the team. You see, agile coaches are masters of their craft. Some of the team members had 20 years experience coaching the globe's top companies through transformation. Some had been scrum masters for 20 years before they became a coach. I only had 6 months experience. And the only reason I had worked so closely with the agile coaching team was because I had no clue what I was doing. Needless to say, I was not taken very seriously. So I was banished to Delta's dojo. Dojo was an 8-week immersive experience for IT teams with big, audacious goals to get coached in Agile, DevOps, Cloud, API, security. And each of the Center of Excellences, Agile included, had to allocate 3 coaches to Dojo. Because my manager hadn't dreamt up Dojo, it wasn't her brainchild, it wasn't her baby. It was painful for her to allocate a coach because that meant they couldn't work on her transformation efforts, which made me the perfect candidate to go. I was completely expendable. But Dojo ended up being the best career decision of my life, even though it wasn't one that I consciously made. At Dojo, I met Chris and Wade, the two most incandescently brilliant agile coaches, thought provoking, innovative, and I had them to my disposal for several hours a day. At Dojo, we lived by that adage that you need to slow down to speed up. We had a strong culture of innovation and learning that was ingrained in our values. So it was not unusual for me to be able to spend hours a day whiteboarding, collaborating, frantically filling up notebooks with scribbles, trying to learn through osmosis. I remember in the beginning, they used to ask me often, they would say, Courtney, what do you want to do after your rotation? Do you want to do something completely different? Do you want to go back to the team you were scrum mastering for? And in my head, I'm thinking, no, absolutely not. Not after I've had a taste of being a coach. No one believed I would stay on the team past 1 year, not even myself. And then disaster struck. Our CIO mandated several strategic initiatives, and the IT teams did not have the skills to be successful. Dojo was flooded, absolutely inundated with teams trying to join. At one point, we had a backlog of 8 teams per 8-week engagement booked out for the whole year. We didn't have the capacity to meet up with demand. Out of desperation, Chris and Wade asked if I could become a coach. As a coach, I mentored scrum masters, product owners, and I delivered an agile training from our playbook once per week for the 8-week engagement. And I would deliver the training 8 times to the 8 different teams. Now, I don't want to paint this experience through rosy retrospective lenses. I want to be transparent with you all. I was terrible, terrible. But as Brene Brown says, you must embrace the suck because there's a formula. The formula is fail, feedback, iterate, fail, feedback, iterate, fail, feedback, iterate, win. And it is only through the sucking that you get the feedback to get better. No one steps in and is the impeccable agile coach day one. You must be willing to fail, to be terrible, to get to great. That year, I had the opportunity to coach 32 different agile teams, which is remarkable because the average coach coaches 4 in a year, which exponentially expedited my learning curve. At the end of the year, I got a call from my manager, which was unusual. She never has called me. And she said, "Hey, Courtney, are you sitting down? I've got some unfortunate news." And in my head, I'd prepared for this moment. I knew it was a stretch for me to be on this team past 1 year. I was prepared. She said, "Surprise, I want to welcome you to the Agile coaching team." And I thought, yes, I've done it. I went on to help lead Delta's Agile transformation. I led and organized Delta's Day of Agility, a global event for thought leaders in the Agile space to share best practices. And when turbulence got a little bumpy during COVID, I left and led Carter's Oshkosh's Agile transformation. Today's talk is about how you too can conquer mastery. I want to break down the different types of mastery. Maybe you're here because you want emotional mastery. You want to master your emotional state during times of stress. Or perhaps you want wealth mastery. You want to be financially free. But I think what would be relevant today, given we're all here at DevOps Days Medellín, would be business mastery. And this is all about how can I get better at my craft? Because the better we get at something, the more we love it. Seth Godin says, doing what you love for amateurs. Loving what you do is for professionals. And what he means by that is through daily practice, you can make any job your calling. I didn't wake up when I was 5 and say, I want to be an agile coach. I didn't know what that was. I wanted to be a farmer. But through daily practice, agility became that thing that made me tap dance to work each day. There's 3 levels to mastery, and only the 3rd level, physical, is a true level of mastery. And the caveat is to get to physical mastery, the true level, you must pass through the first 2 levels. First level is cognitive. This is all about, do I understand it? I used to think if I read a book, if I took a certification, I had cognitively mastered something. Nothing could be less true than last year I took a voice engineer cert. A couple weeks later, I had a call with a customer who was an actual voice engineer. And I found out real quick, I've still got a lot to learn. It is not enough to passively read a book or take an exam. Masters understand that repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition and concretely integrating what you've learned into your daily life. The next level is emotional. This is all about, do you feel it in your body? This is when we leverage the principles of pain and pleasure. When we do something over and over again and we link massive pain or massive pleasure, the actions become more automatic. Think of a conversation you've had with your spouse or your partner, and you started that conversation off with "you always," and you see your spouse react negatively. And pretty soon you start to recoil with negativity. And after a while, you learn not to use that phrase anymore. We need compelling reasons or a bold enough why to continue down a path. Otherwise, have you ever had an experience where you were hiring someone and you got this feeling in your gut that something was off, but you hired them anyway, and it ended up being a traumatic experience? Well, because you got burned once, that means you'll never get burned again, right? No. People make the same mistakes over and over again because they haven't found a way to link enough pain to the problem, which keeps them from reaching the final level of mastery, physical. Physical is when you own it in your body, when you can do it backwards, when you can do it forwards with your eyes closed. It is automatic. Think of the first time you learned how to drive a car. You probably had your elbows locked out, your hands gripping the wheel in 10 and 2. You're frantically checking your mirrors. And in your head, you're thinking, is the left pedal the brake? Is the right pedal the brake? It's completely chaotic. But over time, you master driving cognitively. You pass the driver's test, you understand road signs, you get emotional mastery, positive reinforcement. Your mother tells you, "Hun, you're doing great. You didn't back into the mailbox once this week." And you drive yourself to work every day. Pretty soon, you have mastered driving. I would venture to say most everyone in the audience has probably mastered driving. And you really know you've mastered driving, and hand raise if you've had this experience where you're driving home from work, you get to your destination, and it's like, whoa, how did I even get here? And it is a miracle that you made it to your home because you didn't think about driving once. Your head was in a completely different space. That's mastery. I want to transition to the three principles of mastery and how you can use them to propel yourself to that final stage of mastery, physical. First is model. Find someone who has the success that you want and they're doing it impeccably well. See if they'll meet with you. And the key is not once, but on a reoccurring basis. See what they've done differently, what their journey is like, what they do day to day to navigate through the challenges of that role. Maybe you want to be an SRE, maybe you want to be a DevOps coach, maybe you want to be a manager. I can guarantee there is someone at this conference today that has that success that you want, and meeting with them regularly is just a conversation away. Next is immersion. At Dojo, we had a requirement. You could not join Dojo unless you could commit to learning for 8 weeks, which means you had to clear your calendar, no deadlines, and be off site with us, which was really hard for a lot of teams. But if you can commit to learning, clear your calendar, be off site, Immersion is the fastest way to learn, period. I want to congratulate you all because you know what an immersion looks like. We are at a 2-day DevOps immersion. Find the thing you want to master and sign up for the conference, the training course, the boot camp. Commit to learning. Third principle is spaced repetition. Maybe with this goal, you want physical mastery. You want to be super ripped, super fit. You look down one day and you notice you've got these six-pack abs. So what's the first thing you do? You cancel your gym membership. You don't need that anymore, right? No. Mastery is a lifelong journey. It is not a destination. You must find ways to intentionally keep yourself in the game. I don't coach Agile anymore, but I do teach as a part-time professor 1 night a week, and I have found ways to weave in agility foundations throughout my course. I also attend 2 Agile conferences per year so I can keep my finger on the pulse of what's new. Now, this would not be a mastery talk without a toolkit. So today, I need you to write down 1 to 2 goals you are committed to mastering this year. It is not enough to say, I want to be a manager. These need to be SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, results oriented, time bound. A better goal would be, I want to be an outstanding level 65 Xbox manager by December 2022. Now, that's specific, it's results oriented, and it's time bound. If I want to make this measurable and actionable, I can throw in some caveats. I can say, to be an outstanding manager, I need to have all positive feedback from my directs. I need to read 1 book on management, and I need to attend the best management training course. These are all things that I can measure if I did or not. And then we need compelling reasons. This is when we start to leverage the principles of pain and pleasure. So I need you to write a paragraph of everything painful that will happen if you don't achieve this goal. I want you to imagine it's December 31st, 2022, and you are in the same role. How will you feel? What will you have missed out on? And then I need a paragraph of everything pleasurable that will happen if you can achieve this goal. I want you to step into the moment when you get that phone call that you have become the Xbox manager. I want you to feel how you would feel, but feel it today and write down in this moment how you would feel. I want you to think about, who will you be able to impact? What type of experiences will you be able to curate? Write it all down. And then take action. Never leave the scene of a decision without taking action. Order the book on Amazon on management. Email the organizers for the management training course to get dates. Do something small to move yourself forward. And then tomorrow and beyond, your action plan. Identify a model. Identify that person, hopefully at the conference, that has the success that you want, and set up reoccurring meetings. And then immersion. Sign up for DevOpsDays Medellín 2023. Go ahead and do it now. Inspect and adapt. Get feedback along the way. Remember the formula: fail, feedback, iterate, and then repeat. Your calling's out there waiting for you. Go master it. My name is, again, Courtney Heba. I hope you connect with me on LinkedIn. Here's some of my resources. Any questions?